Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Spread, the Schooner Pod's weekly pick show. As always, we are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook and TPPN. My name is Bobby Howard, and joining me as always are Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and the captain, Bowden Blake. Look, guys, week one is all about survival. Going from on paper to on field is always tricky, and every dub counts. Ty and I split the first week, 5-5. Jameson was just behind at 5-6, and Blake ran into rough waters at 3-7. So, look, Blake, before you answer for your 30% win percentage, I want to know, how was your trip to Boulder for TCU, Colorado?
Boulder was honestly such an incredible atmosphere to start the game. Got there early to make sure to get the sunset behind the mountains. The stadium itself is kind of falling apart at the seams. It was built in the 20s and it still has the troughs. While using the trough in the bathroom, a glass panel almost hit me in the head. So in the glass, if you open the glass above it, you could just look out onto the field, onto the stadium. It's a wild atmosphere, but honestly, it was one of those bucket list things for me to go watch. The Colorado fans, honestly, were pretty, mean and a little nasty, which I liked. I liked that edge. They were horrible last year, and they were still acting like they did, so I was fine with it. I sat in front of me with some Baylor fans that were talking crap, which I don't know why they were there. Behind me was some diehard Colorado fans from probably, the 80s and 90s, the good old days, and, had the most incorrect takes about the game, but, that, I kind of loved it. I was in my element, haters all around me, but it was a great game. I wanted to jump off a bridge during the first half, but second half rebound, it was fine. Had a great time. So definitely suggest if y'all get a chance to go to Boulder, you have to do it.
I got to say, waking up and seeing that TCU turn it on that second half and hit that cover, great feeling. Nothing better than seeing that cover hit. But the rest of your week looked pretty rough though. So.
It was miserable. I think Thursday and Friday were great gambling days for me, and then Saturday hit, and Appalachian State, UNC kind of set the tone for the day, and it was bad takes all over. I think I had UNT, who lost by 30. I bet USF against BYU, and they got blown out by 50 points, so I read the board completely wrong, but that's good. That means I just need to kind of tweak some things. If I'm close enough, then the reads are hard to adjust, but now I just need to do a complete 180 of what I was doing.
Oh no, here we start. We're starting it. It's just he says I just need to make a couple tweaks and then continues on to say I need to make a complete 180. So
everybody in my ear has been you can't overreact to week one. It's week one for a reason. The first time we're seeing football. But then when I was going through and doing my analysis of these picks, I definitely overreacted for about 70% of them. So I'm just going to join that bandwagon because obviously where I was at was not working.
Fair enough. So, Jameson, you and Blake both picked Texas State -1 as your wild card last week. They lost to Nevada by 24. Do you have any regrets?
Oh, we picked them at +1. Let's just let that be known. And it changed to -1.5 at the kickoff time. Might have honestly moved even farther, but that was around OU kickoff time. And let it be known that line traveled double-digit points, and we still got slaughtered on it. It hurts. It really hurt. I've dealt with this heartbreak before with Texas State. I know what I'm going through. We've gone through tough times together. I'm not going to hold anything against them, and we'll just see how it goes this season. Like Blake said, you never know what will happen. It's just week one, so let's not throw them in the trash just yet.
Look, after the couple years we've seen out of them, they've only won one time on the weekend spread. Actually, twice. They've won once as a wild card, and then the other time they beat Baylor, against the spread last season.
Oh,
so,
don't worry. We'll get them next week.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get Boko showing back up on the slate as a main pick. But Ty, sorry it took me long enough to get to you. We split the lead last week, but you lead the overall standings due to your edge in week 0. How you feeling? I got to give the current leader of the table his time. How you feeling?
Yeah, so I do want to make it clear. In years past, I've been known for shooting from the hip on these picks, which I am still doing to some extent. I have some that are still sort of game time decisions, and I let the stream of consciousness and the flow in the episode decide for me. Admittedly, sometimes there's some picks that I'm split on, and I got to go a certain way just for the content. Not saying that we're not fake or scripted in any way, but if it comes down to the deciding factor of can I pick this team and then also be fading Jameson or Blake or someone and cause them to get pissed off and just add that emotion into the podcast, but then also our daily lives, then I'll take that. But I do have a methodology this year, but I would say that I'm not in any way confident. I know the reasoning behind my picks, but like Blake said, when people were talking about week 1 and week 0, you really still don't know. There were some teams where it seems so far that the preseason expectations are being met. Arkansas comes to mind. I think the preseason evaluations of Arkansas were very accurate, and we saw that against the tough opponent here. But there's also some teams like OU, Ohio State seem to be finding their way. Clemson seem to be finding their way potentially. So there's a whole lot more. I don't know how many conclusions can be driven from week 0 and week 1. All that being said, it feels really good. Personal goal of mine is for everyone to be above 500. So I'm at least above 500 right now. That's sort of my floor for myself. And it feels good to be up because I'm very, very afraid of our 999 punishment. So I'm not getting a big head about it. I'm living this season in fear of this punishment. So I'm not happy about being first, but I sure am happy about having just a few game lead coming into week 2.
Hey, that's all that matters. And again, in a way, just avoiding the punishment is all that matters. So I feel that for sure. In terms of overreacting and, over projecting, like, I feel like the biggest example for me was that Illinois-Wyoming game. Immediately boosted Illinois against Indiana. They were a flop. So it was like, you know what the issue is? It's probably
they had
Wyoming.
That controlled for a long time, Bobby. I feel like Illinois kind of lost that at the end.
I'm not saying that it was, an absolute flop. I was really down on. I'm down on Indiana for one. I think they just lost a lot. Our boy or our guy Michael Penix, but you're right. They didn't control it, but it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have, been. They shouldn't have been in a scenario where Indiana could, take a 75-yard drive down there out of nowhere and get the win. And then Wyoming, I decided to fade them, and pick Tulsa. Tulsa lost in overtime straight up. So overreaction city.
That Tulsa line moved by like 8 or 9 points too in Tulsa's favor. Like, it was a bad week for the people that were trying to hammer. It was particularly Nevada and Wyoming trying to fade them. Got gutted. AKA me.
It was bad. It was bad. Go ahead, Ty.
I do want to say, I forgot to say this before we roll into our slate that we're about to jump into. What a tremendous, it's rough. And I think anyone that is seriously doing, because again, betting centric podcast here on the Weekend Spread, anyone that's doing sports gambling or betting seriously knows how risky these early seasons when you don't know the teams. And especially when you're talking college, you don't have this breadth of experience and resume. Even the most junior NFL player, you can look back on their years in college. There's so many just stars that have yet to emerge and all sorts of new stuff. It's risky betting, but my goodness, what a tremendous week for football just as a fan. I didn't get to say this on our Schooner Pod wrap because we keep it OU focused and we keep it off the gambling over there. That's our analysis of and reactions to OU games if you guys want to go check that out. But this was just oh my goodness, these games were even the ones I got burned on the LSU game, for example. I had them. I think we had them at -3.5. Don't care whatsoever that I missed the bet on that game because I did bet on it outside of our gentleman's game here. But what a game. ESPN, or not ESPN, but NCAA football instant classic. Just, you could not have wished for a better. I think this has got to be, certainly looking back, one of the best opening weeks of college football, at least in a long, long time, if not ever.
Yeah, and that backyard brawl was awesome. Like a great Thursday night game to start it all off. Just across the board, really fun football across, just awesome stuff. And I kind of think we have a good week 2 slate as well. So I don't know about y'all. Let's get this thing going. We're going to move us into order here. Ty as the leader, he goes up here. Blake is bringing up the rear over there, swabbing the poop deck last in the standings. And then me and Jameson sandwiched in the middle, tied. All right. A reminder, all of our lines were locked in this afternoon and are provided by our partner at DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure to check them out if you are in a state that carries them with a promo code TPPN. A lot of really great action there. A lot of really good stuff for the NFL that we'll drop in our ad reads. So, like, for example, I have a promotion going on, Blake, where if your team goes up 10 points, you automatically win the bet at any point.
Oh, I love that. That is tasty. That is a fun bet.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, if you can do it, jump in on that. It's good stuff. But enough preamble. We've been rambling for about 10 minutes now. Let's start out with our first matchup. We got the Tennessee Volunteers headed up to Pittsburgh, who are riding high after a backyard brawl win over West Virginia. Look, Vegas apparently wasn't that impressed, as the Panthers are a 7-point home dog against the Vols. So, Ty, like I said, as the leader in the clubhouse, let's get this pulled up. You start us off. Who you got?
Yeah, so this is an easy one for me personally. I got burned last week picking against Pitt, but that being said, I pick with I can't reveal. I'll reveal it at the end of the season because I think it's funny. But I do have, like I said, a methodology. I call it the Enron method. Yes, that Enron, the one you're thinking of, is the namesake for it. And I applied it to this game. But one of the standout things, while not necessarily a wicket within that methodology, is the fact that Tennessee has just such a buy-in. If you go to, not a free ad, but if you go to Fanatics, you can buy a $10,000 gold and diamond bejeweled Tennessee football helmet on Fanatics. I'm not talking about like a niche thing. Like, it's something that is being put in like a big store because it just has, they wouldn't put it there if it wasn't selling. It's like an item in stock. It's not like a custom order. The buy-in from Tennessee fans is absurd. I got to give Josh Heupel some credit, and it's SEC versus I think Pitt's in the Big 12. So give me Tennessee.
They probably still make you pay shipping on that at Fanatics.
Oh yeah, they'd find a way.
Yeah, let me add it to the cart and I'll see real quick.
So here's my thing with this. I was, as y'all know, longtime listeners and viewers will know, I'm a big Pitt guy. Love the Pitt super weapon. Love when it gets weird. Mainly because I think I fell in love with the Kenny Pickett Pitt, where there was some fun action. They did throw the ball. It was a good time. I forgot that they reverted to Pat Narduzzi, like just slugfest garbage football. And they almost lost against West Virginia. They probably should have lost, but football's weird, tides turn. But that was a very unpleasant viewing experience for me. And one I don't really want to go with. I swore to myself after that, I'm never going with Pitt again, even though they only lost by, the hook, gambling wise. I just don't feel them. I think they've gotten too they've gotten too Narduzzi-ish. And because of that, I'm going with Tennessee here. I think Josh Heupel has them headed in the right direction. That offense is explosive. I think it's enough to really, really set off, get a win here on the road at, not Heinz Field. Who knows what they called it now. But I'm going to go with the Volunteers -7.
Yeah,
Jason?
I can see that. I really do. It's kind of a tough one, but here's for me. I understand Pitt might have looked ugly to y'all on tape whenever y'all were watching that because you were on the Pitt side, and that wasn't a really good start going against West Virginia. But one thing I did see is I felt like Pitt's defensive line in front seven caused a lot of problems, and they didn't finish a lot of the plays. But I saw by the eye test, I thought this Pitt team was a lot better than what they showed versus West Virginia. Coming into Pittsburgh, I don't feel as confident in Tennessee. If this was in Knoxville, obviously completely different game here. I think I'm going to go with Pitt +7 and go to the other side as I was fading them in week 1.
There you go. Blake, who do you got?
In classic overreaction form, I'm going Tennessee. I came on the ACC pod earlier this year and was talking about, oh yes, the defensive line for Pitt's so great, top 5 in the nation, it's so good. And look what happened that game versus West Virginia, who I came on the Big 12 pod and was like, this team really isn't that good. Like, JT Daniel kind of elevates them, but they'll probably be a bottom of the pack Big 12 team, and they scorched them. 400 yards, close to 200 on the ground. Like, that defensive line was supposed to do better and just didn't do anything. And kind of like what Bobby said about Pat Narduzzi, like, he tried to establish the run so much that game, but it was never successful at any point. And it just puts him in an awkward situation where then, like, Keaton Slovis has to save it through his arm, but it's like they're obviously deviating from their game plan when they started. So I am worried. I saw this line, and I'm like, what does Vegas know? I thought Pitt would be the easy bet here, especially with the line moving to 7, but I like Hendon Hooker, this electric offense coming in. Worries me a little bit. Pat Narduzzi's good with underdogs, but after what I saw last week, it's just I can't get over the fact that defensive line didn't show up. So give me Tennessee in the points.
Yeah, and I think overall this game is a very unsettling one. I don't think any of us feel super strong about it. Maybe Jameson does. I don't know. But let's move on to our next game. A newly minted top. Island Boys went 3-1 last week, which is a pretty good mark. I think the only loss was who lost on the island last.
It was probably me.
Notre Dame won. Obviously Pitt won, and then the other Island Boy was I think Ty won on something. I can't remember though. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Georgia, Oregon, Georgia. 3 of you guys. My goodness,
Georgia
being for an organic opportunity to bring that.
The only island was Cincinnati with Blake, which he lost.
Yep.
Yes, Blake
and
lost
it was
Cincinnati
so close, so close.
By a hook. but no, yeah. How did that Oregon Georgia game was the definition of playing yourself? We all played ourselves. That was painful to watch. But it's okay. At least only one person benefited from it, so I'll give him that. But, all right, this one, newly minted top 25 matchup. Kentucky heading to the Swamp, where the Gators are favored by 4.5, fresh off of a massive, massive win against Utah. Blake, who do you like here?
You know who I'm choosing here. Give me the Gators. I've been telling y'all for about a year, Anthony Richardson is the man. And look, he got his Heisman moment starting at the beginning of the year with Utah. I know I was backing Utah, but my goodness, can this man run? Can this man pass? He can do everything on the football field. I love Anthony Richardson. And I don't care who else is on that Florida team because that's all they need. And Kentucky won a lot of close games last year. Got lucky. Will Levis, not high on him. This one's an easy pick for me. Give me the Gators down in the Swamp. I don't care about no hangover because no hangover happens when you have Anthony Richardson.
All right. Hey, big love for AR that. There.
I knew that there was going to start to be some overreaction in the college football world if Florida goes in and wins, or I guess stays at home and wins this game. But Blake's been overreacting to Anthony Richardson for a long time. I'm not picking Florida because of Anthony Richardson. I think I'm just going against Kentucky because I feel like they have this reputation that they keep things close. And, they have Will Levis and all the games with Kentucky, you shouldn't think that it's going to be a blowout. 4.5 points is honestly, a lot of people will be saying, oh, that's not bad for Kentucky. Going into the Swamp was obviously very tough for Utah, a very talented team. So what's telling me that Kentucky's not going to also have trouble in the Swamp? And let it be known, Will Levis threw an interception versus Miami of Ohio, and they only won by 24 points last week. Give me Florida.
I also share the optimism about the Florida Gators here. I've been a big Billy Napier guy on this, just on the show overall when he was at ULL. And, I think his Florida program is in the right direction. I see this as a momentum thing, less than a hangover thing. And, if you look at the history of the Florida program against Kentucky, Kentucky has won, 2 out of the past 4 years, right? But other than that, those are the only wins since 1987. So Florida kind of has a chokehold on this rivalry. I expect them to get back to winning ways and get this cover here in the Swamp. For me, this is a momentum game, less of a hangover game. I think Anthony Richardson gets another big mark towards being a bit of a dark horse Heisman guy. So give me the Gators 4.5. Ty?
So I'll go quick strike here. One, I was completely wrong about Florida last week. I will admit that. I was down on them. I had past years of Florida in my mind. Anthony Richardson deserves his credit. Great performance. I think I also overestimated Utah a lot.
Yeah, I will disagree because people are going to come out here saying that Utah wasn't good enough. Utah played an incredible game and lost it close right at the end. They weren't able to convert 2 within the 10-yard line goal situations, and that's the reason why they lost. Like, Utah almost won that game. And I think, like, obviously, are they right now the 4th best team in the nation? No, which is what, like, some people were, like me were saying. But, like, at the end of the day, they still played a hell of a game. It wasn't like it was an Oregon situation where they got blown out. They were in that game till the end, and it was just one play that really kind of decided it.
Yeah, but we're also talking about Utah was a team that everyone, or well, at least I was on the Utah potential playoff run train, and then Florida was a team that people were like, oh, they might get second, probably third in their division. So maybe it's an SEC thing. But yeah, I like the Gators in this one, just straight up. But my third point, real quick, was I'm not super jumping on the Anthony Richardson train. He did some amazing things against Utah. But I think that stuff is not going to continue to fly. I don't think the jump past 360 thing is going to work against the Georgia Bulldogs. So I think there's going to be some moments of embarrassment, but this is not going to be one of them. Give me the Gators.
Yeah.
State of Florida. Ooh, great week for the state of Florida.
High on them.
In football.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, a lot of dubs out in Florida right now, so they may be back. But all right, weirdly enough, those are the only 2 games on our slate that do not involve Big 12 teams. The rest of the way is Big 12 and, of course, the wild card. So let's start this thing off in Lubbock, where we have the ranked Houston Cougars heading to Lubbock to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders, who are favored by 3. A team we've been pretty down on, I think, in preseason, have faded a bit. And Houston, fresh off of a, I think, double, triple overtime game against UTSA, got the win. But any fatigue here? Ty, what do you think?
I gotta do it. I think I'm gonna be on an island here, even though I think I was higher on Tech than everyone else in our sort of Big 12 preseason. But you know where I'm going with this? Give me Dana Holgorsen and the Houston. I think they're the Bearcats to take the cover against Texas Tech. And just to clarify, this is not a bit. I do think that we're going to see a sort of a rivalry develop here between these two teams. I think they're going to be pretty similarly matched throughout their times in the future in the Big 12. And I think that hopefully, we get some animosity and some stuff that sets the scene for what could be a cool, inter-Texas rivalry, because Baylor has TCU and Texas has OU has Texas. So the only really the Texas teams that don't have rivals are A&M and Tech, and they're not going to be playing each other. So give me Houston to be a rival with Tech, but also very confusing. Give me Houston to cover.
Fair enough. And I'm all in on that rivalry, and I think it's going to be pretty heated in Houston, where it's like half of the people there, it's commuter school, and then the other half are like the dumb kids in Houston who
deranged lunatics that reside in the desert that think their program is nationally relevant. That's what they are.
Yeah, the dumb kids in Houston who are like
the desert of Houston.
No, the dumb kids in Houston who are like, well, I can only get into Texas Tech, so I'm going to go to Texas Tech and then move back to Houston when I'm done. So those home games are going to be pretty intense because there'll be a lot of Tech fans. I'm sure hopefully the Tech fans don't find us, because I want my comment section to be lit up with a bunch of cacti. Blake, I'm sure you're out on that as well. But, I guess I did just call a lot of them dumb, so that's not great. Look, Ty, you're going to have a buddy on this island here. I'm also rolling with Houston here. I feel like they're a little undervalued here. I feel like anytime someone gets into trouble with UTSA, people get worried. I think UTSA is damn good. Going into the Alamo Dome can be tricky. So I think Houston, goes into Lubbock, gets a big win here, and gets that cover. So give me the Cougs -3.
Bobby, I got a question for you. Who's Texas Tech's starting quarterback in this game?
That Bowman guy, right?
Definitely not Alan Bowman. Last time I saw he was at Michigan.
So put him on the spot. Let me give you a history lesson. whenever we were talking in the Big 12 preview, how I was so out on Tyler Shao that made me feel so confident in Texas Tech being number 9. Guess what?
Yeah.
He went out with a shoulder injury. Guess who came in? The guy that I really like, Donovan Smith. Now, Donovan Smith going to probably be the starter for the next couple games. I like Texas Tech now, and I am picking them -3, baby. If this was Tyler Shao, I'd be on the Houston Island, quote unquote, with y'all. But it looks like I am on an island, and I am hoping that I will have a friend. Actually, you know what? Blake is cold. He's super cold. I don't want to bring his snow to my island. Leave me as an island boy, Blake. Pretty please.
The Houston situation is more of a peninsula right now. But Blake, who do you got?
That is all right. I'll leave Jameson on that island because we know from the Big 12 preview that I hate the Red Raiders this year. I'm on them under 5.5 wins, win totals, and this line makes no sense to me. Look, U of H, the only thing you could say about them is they struggled versus UTSA last week, and that's granted. But honestly, I think playing in the Alamo Dome right now is harder than playing at AT&T Stadium in Lubbock. The deranged Texas Tech fans have been on this crusade this entire summer trying to make it seem like their home field advantage is so incredible that they're able to go out to other away stadiums and really fill it, but let's be honest, nobody goes to their home games. They're like 8th, I think, in average attendance when it comes to the Big 12, and the only reason why they want to come to the TCU game is everybody lives in the DFW area and doesn't want to go to Lubbock home games. So I really don't think the home game factor is really anything here. If you go down key positions, I think the defense, although U of H didn't play well last week, their defense is better than Tech's. I think Clayton Tune is a better quarterback than whoever Jameson's weird second stringer that he believes in.
Donovan Smith played great last year. Come on, you know that.
Great, barely. Like this is the Tech delusion. The Tech delusion syndrome is like, we went 6-6 last year. We can only go up. No, you can't. Your schedule's harder. You're just the teams in the Big 12 can't get better while y'all get just stay the same. So I'm out on Tech. Give me the Houston Cougars. They're better at quarterback. They're better at wide receiver. They're better at defense. All the things that matter. Give me the Cougars.
Todd, what you got
on here?
Oh, is that a cacti?
I just have this cactus. Yeah, keep in mind, I picked Houston here, but and this is completely unrelated. It's been sitting here. It was a school project. Yeah, this is University of Oklahoma education right here. It really was.
Remember when Bobby called Tech the dumb kids?
Yeah, 5 minutes. Here we go.
Yeah, that really isn't helping our argument.
It certainly was the pot calling the kettle. But
you don't even want to know what I made for my capstone project.
Was it also a cactus?
Well, my capstone project, I was in this biology course and we had to make a fake ecosystem, and mine was essentially like the giant worms from the Star Wars universe. And we made a video with these giant worms filled with pantyhose, cotton stuff, and drove around in little RC cars. And I made a little movie trailer with it. And that's what I did for my capstone project as a biology major in college.
Jeez. Okay. Wow. All right. We are just telling on the University of Oklahoma over here, man. This is this looks honestly worse on OU than anything. But anyways, moving on. We got our next game. Maybe the game of the weekend. Baylor traveling to Provo to take on BYU in an actual Big 12 future matchup. BYU is favored by 3.5 here. So I think that's pretty interesting. Blake, Baylor gave you a law degree. Are you going to give him the cover here?
I am. There is no way I'm fading Baylor in this instance. And as the closeted Baylor fan on the pod,
closeted. You went
Oh my
to
God,
Baylor.
he admitted it.
You are not a closeted Baylor fan. That is absurd to say. You are an alumni of the school.
Yes, but one that I don't cheer much for, but there's a few teams that I'll actually cheer for Baylor over, and one of those is the BYU Cougars. There's actually a lot of logic, not just pure hatred behind this pick. BYU is probably going to be without Gunnar Romney, Mitt Romney's niece, nephew, son. I don't even know at this point.
No,
Gunnar Romney?
I heard Gonorrhea.
Wouldn't his niece's
what are the Romney Wings?
Wouldn't his niece's nephew's son be his grandchild.
We don't know. I don't even know how deep the Romney clan goes. Like, at this point, like, we could be talking about great-great-grandbabies. I don't know. He's related to Mitt Romney in some way, and we know that. But they're without him, and maybe they're running back Puka. So those are two key pieces on Baylor's or BYU's end that are really key pieces to their offense. And then after watching Blake Shapen, I know against Albany this past week, he looks really, really good. And if anything with what Gary Bohannon showed against BYU, it's a major upgrade. And lastly, Jeff Grimes knows this team, the Baylor OC. He used to coach at BYU for a long time. So I think we're going to see a similar result to last year. I think people are heavily underrating Baylor here just because of their off-season losses and stuff like that. But I think 3.5 points is way too much. This could easily be like this. If BYU wins on a game-winning field goal, I win this bet. So give me Baylor.
That hook's dangerous. Jameson, what do you think?
This is one of those classic lines. Like, I look at it and go, how? Like, I was expecting to see Baylor as the favorite. Like, I'm very confused here. And with Blake saying, like, the possible outed, like, with Puka or whatever their running back, I remember watching him last year. He was pretty talented. I just don't see it. Things just seem weird. And everyone says, always bet opposite if it's a really weird, obvious line because there's something you don't know. But I'm not feeling it. I just feel like we're all going to pick Baylor here because we just know so much about them.
Come on, Bobby.
Yeah, no.
Join the dark. Go to the dark side. I know you want to.
Hey, I'm improving, making steps here. I see what you mean. I see what you mean by, like, that hook, though, is killing me. If you're actually betting this, I would actually buy that half point. I think that's worth it. I can't shake the feeling that I really like BYU here at home. I know they lost pretty badly to Baylor on the road in Waco, but to me, I feel like that fan base is so excited for the Big 12, so excited to join that conference that they're going to show out in force here, really try to get, like, I don't know, all their Mormon energy into it, get really pumped for it. I can't shake the feeling they're going to win this game. I think it's going to be a good game. I just think they win by about 6. That hook's killing me, but if I had to pick it, I like the home. I like the home field. I like the home energy, and this being like I feel like they beat good Big 12 teams in Provo before. Looking at, I think they beat Texas there a couple years ago, and I know history doesn't matter, but this is the type of game they're going to get up for. I think they beat Baylor here. It's tricky though. I don't like that. I don't like that hook. It's giving me the heebie-jeebies, but I like the home magic here going on in Provo. So, Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll just be straight. I agree with something that Jameson sort of touched on. I think that maybe it's a familiarity bias with Baylor, but I've been a known sort of. I don't even think I've been a downer of Baylor necessarily. I'm sure it's come off that way.
You picked them last in the Big 12 last year. That is the most downer you could ever be on them.
This sounds goofy. I legitimately completely forgot about them, and I was way in too deep at that point, and I had to make it seem like it was on purpose, and I had to ride with it. So
we start with 10, right?
Yes, Kansas is the easy pick. You can always start from there.
No, because I tied myself to the believing in Kansas thing. Speaking of Kansas, you guys had me scared when you said Puka because I don't follow BYU, and I was like, oh goodness, how in the world?
Williams still here,
but that would have been a big key player. But Baylor, I'm known to make this about coaches a lot of the times. I'll say it right now, and this might be a cold take. This might be a far out take. I hope somewhere there's a Baylor fan listening to this that loves me after saying this. I think Dave Aranda could be the next Nick Saban. If not the next, if Urban Meyer could behave Urban Meyer. I think he's a guy that can build championship winning programs wherever he goes if he's given the tools to make it happen. I don't, unfortunately, not trying to talk down on Baylor, but they're not that guy, Powell. But I think Dave Aranda has a really, really bright future ahead of him. And I like Baylor in this one. I'm known to be down on them again, but I just think, I would have expected I know 3.5 is a pretty small line in the grand scheme of things, but I was kind of expecting Baylor to be favored in this one as well. It doesn't. I think we're given a lot of value to BYU's home field. I don't know how much that's going to be a factor, but I really like Baylor in this one. So give me the Bears. I will ride with the Bears, and I will ride with Dave Aranda.
There you go. A lot of confidence in Baylor this week. So I am an island boy for my Cougars. There we go. Moving on to the next one. Ty, it's your team. They're coming to Oklahoma. The Arizona State Sun Devils. One of Ty's, might be his fourth, fifth, second team. I don't know. But this is the one he talks about most. Sun Devils coming to Stillwater, and the Cowboys favored by 11 after a bit of a gnarly backdoor cover there in that Central Michigan game. So Ty, how you feel about your Sun Devils? Are you excited here? And do you think they have a little bit of chance to make a little bit of mischief in Stilly?
So I think they have a chance, but I think realistically, no. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. They do this one of these. Is it outboard? Is it inboard or outboard? I know it's single-handed.
Whatever they did, they probably stole it.
You know, Bobby. Don't act like you don't know. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. I think they had a very embarrassing showing last week, but a team that they've lost to in the past. I know it was a long time ago, but still, that's a team that's always going to perform well. And I think that really the key was OSU showed just a terrible defensive performance, but they backed off offensively. They still put up over, that was kind of slurred. They still put up over 50 points on them, and they kind of just backed off. I understand they had a really high line that they didn't cover. They still won by double digits. They still won by multiple possessions, and I think they could have stayed on the gas and just continued to rip them. I think they would have continued to let the team that they were playing, if Wyoming or someone, score on them. But yeah, I think Oklahoma State could have scored 77 at least in that game last week had that just turned into just an absolute, I know we don't use the term in football anymore, but just an absolute shootout from the air. It reminds me of the old sloppy days of the Big 12 when it was no defense, all guns. So give me the Cowboys in this one because I think there's much more motive to really throw it all out there against a bigger matchup like Arizona State. And I just haven't really seen a whole lot of promise, unfortunately, from my Sun Devils. So forks up for life, but nothing personal. I got to go with who's going to get the cover.
Fair enough. And look, I got to say this as well. Like, OSU's defense dropped off exactly the way I thought it would. They looked very, very difficult at times. And if it wasn't for that little spurt at the end of the first quarter into the start of the second quarter, they could have been in actual trouble against Central Michigan, but they weren't. I think they're going to rebound here. I think they're going to get a cover. And primarily because we have so much energy going towards our guy, Anthony Richardson from Florida. On the inverse, I'm fading Emory Jones, the Florida transfer, into Arizona State. I don't like his energy. I've never really been a big fan of him. I think I think him and the Sun Devils, that's a program that's kind of, on a long haul towards, getting some scholarship bans, getting hit by the NCAA if that still exists. So I don't know. I think OSU rebounds. They want to prove themselves, and they get this win in the cover.
Yeah, I agree. I like Oklahoma State here, but their defense, that hurt. That really, really hurt last week. You could tell their offense was just very potent, and Spencer Sanders looked like a man amongst boys out there when we're running the ball. Obviously, he was still throwing moon balls, just hoping for some pass interferences, which is just a classic, but why not? But I can't get behind Emory Jones. That's what I got to agree with. I like Oklahoma State here by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, God, I want to be on an island here. I want to be on an island here so bad because honestly, that OSU defense was horrendous down the stretch. And I think with on both sides of the coin, OSU's defensive performance at the end of that game and Ohio State's performance versus Notre Dame, Jim Knowles is a big difference. And I think we're going to see it versus quality opponents this year. But sadly, they haven't gone up against some quality opponents yet. Arizona State's not one of them. Emory Jones went up against, who was it? Oh, yes, from I think my Big Sky Conference, the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks, and only threw 150 yards, which is embarrassing.
Oh, no.
Which is embarrassing.
No, really?
So, yes, like, I even checked just to make sure. I'm like, 150 yards, that probably means he got pulled at the first quarter. Nope, only one quarterback registered throws that game, Emory Jones. So I don't trust him. I don't trust Arizona State. I kind of trust OSU's offense this year. Like, I would love a Spencer Sanders for Heisman campaign. Just, like, get off on a few, like, 3-4 win game streak right there where he's throwing for 400 yards. But yeah, I can't trust Arizona State enough. Give me the 11 points, and I can't go on this island. I can't go on this island right now.
Fair enough. And I think the defense is going to bounce back too.
I was going to say, before we move on, Bobby, you brought up a point. I know you were joking, but the more I think about it, it might be a legitimate legal strategy by Arizona State to just try to outlast the NCAA or the NCAA's authority before punishment is lifted on them, because we all know it's coming, and the infractions happened a while ago, and it seems like they're just trying to drag their feet until the
just
NCAA
keep appealing. Appealing.
Yeah. Blake's our attorney here, so he can maybe validate the validity. That was a good one.
Blake, we should get you in contact with good old Herm Edwards there. See what we can get done.
Their situation is just hilarious. It's like all the fans want Herm Edwards gone so bad, but the AD is best friends with Herm Edwards and like refuses to fire him because of that. And so like they're facing like allegations that would really hurt their program, and they like honestly, Arizona State has great branding, great location, and they just still won't move on from him. Like, they could get a lot better coach with the money they're bringing in, probably from their online school, but, like, their AD just loves Herm Edwards and refuses to move on from him. So, we're stuck with this for the time being. The
Herm hire was always bad, and then they had, like, a couple good games, and then you realize it's because they were cheating their ass off. So, it's, that's going to come for him eventually. But
it was just because of Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Oh God, Jaden Daniels that was a trip for sure. I will look at my number one receiver for 0.5 seconds and I'm going to tuck that ball and run. He was not looking to pass that ball during that entire game to that last drive.
Man, what a time. All right, let's move on to our next game. It's one of our favorite rivalries. It's El Assico, Iowa State at Iowa. The Hawkeyes favored by 3.5 here. And Blake, in the light of last week's game for the Hawkeyes, where they scored 7 points with 0 touchdowns, that beautiful double safety field goal performance against the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Shout out to Austin, by the way, my guy. Should have backed the Jacks there. I misstepped on that. But anyways, I digress. How down are you on the Hawkeyes? I know we faded Iowa State in preseason, but are you down enough to go with the Cyclones here?
Yeah, I was bad. Like, I was bad. Like, Petrus or whatever his name can't move the ball down the field. Their defense and special teams were the only things that saved them. Scored 7 points in, like, the perfectly unique way of 2 safeties and a field goal, which is just absolute perfection. Yeah, it's bad, and I didn't realize that Iowa, they had, 3 or 4 transfer receivers that went out of their programs, so, the few receiving help they did have is all gone. And I also didn't realize that Kirk Ferentz's son, I believe Brian Ferentz, is the OC, and they, want him out bad. And I don't blame them. They're running an offense that was, prevalent 25 years ago. But give me the Hawkeyes. I'm not going to overreact right here. Matt Campbell, even with his best teams, has never been able to beat this Iowa Hawkeyes team. There's something about that home field advantage that is special. I was listening to a podcast today, and supposedly the stadium and how it's designed just traps all the sound in it. So, if the crowd's live, you're not going to be able to hear anything. There's any X's and O's that I can back this up because their offensive game plan is terrible. Their defense is great. Their special teams are great. They have a good punter, great punter. give them nice field position. We just gotta hope that the defense holds the lines, but give me the Hawkeyes in this.
Can they hold back your boy Hunter Deckers, though?
I think so. I have faith. This is my one discipline, or I might have a few, but my one discipline pick that I'm really going all in. I'm like, I can't overreact to the fact that they played so bad that game. I just can't imagine them recreating it. We've seen Iowa, like, year after year after year put up performances like this that you're just like, oh, Jesus, like, how do they watch this every week? And they end up, like, 8-4 at the end of the season. So I'm just hoping for one of those teams this year, and I get out of this bet fine.
It's fair. It's
Blake, you mentioned home field advantage. Bobby, do you think the weather difference is going to play havoc on Iowa State going to Iowa?
Oh, screw you. That joke's like 3 years old at this point. Anyways. Jameson, who you got?
Iowa, I guess. Oh, this is gross. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yes!
I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm with Blake on this. No reasoning, and I'm not going to talk for too much longer because I'm just going to pick Iowa and just hope it works out.
Look, here's my thing. Death, taxes, Iowa somehow winning El Assico. These things happen, will happen every year as long as they exist. Iowa was about as unconvincing as they could look last week. But at the same time, I just know what they do every single year. They find a way to beat Iowa State. And I don't see that continuing, especially with this being Iowa State's weakest team in a long time. Although alternatively, this rivalry is so stupid and so wild at times that of course this would be the year Iowa State would win it.
We never pick Iowa.
But no, I'm going Iowa here. I'm just... like Blake said, sometimes you got to eat your vegetables. You got to stay disciplined. You got to go with what works. And over the years, what works is Iowa winning. So give me Iowa.
Yeah, you guys, funny enough, everyone hit all my sort of talking points. Discipline pick doesn't make sense. Have to not discard the week one performance, but you have to understand week one. And I'm looking at this like any sort of serious gambler would do. You got to look at the past performance is not indicative of future results. We all know this, but it's statistically everything that we can point to is pointing to an Iowa win. I think it's going to be a big Iowa win in terms of like watching it and the feel, but I think it's also not going to be very much more than 3.5, if that makes sense. So this is going to be one of those. I mean, it's like a stereotypical Midwestern sort of lower tier Big Ten type thing. I understand Iowa State is in the Big 12. And obligatory, I'll just mention Matt Campbell because I have to. He's a coward. He's not a good coach. I don't even know who Iowa's coach is. He's a better coach. So give me the Iowa Hawkeyes. Shout out to Aston Kutcher. I know he's a fan of them. I don't know why I know that, but I think Iowa takes the win here. Iowa takes the cover. It doesn't matter who wins. Yeah. Iowa covers.
At the end of the day, it's corn. So we're moving on. We have Missouri. An old Big 8 rivalry. I highlighted this one in the preseason. Missouri heading to the Little Apple to take on Kansas State. The Wildcats favored by 7.5. Ty, I'll let you kick this one off. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, this one comes down to really one deciding factor, and you can summarize that factor in 4 letters. It's corn. It's a big lump with knobs. It's got the juice, and I couldn't imagine a more beautiful thing. And Kansas, the state of Kansas, produces more corn than the state of Missouri. Go figure. And I hate Missouri with a passion. Missouri and also Texas State, long story, are why I'm permanently banned from Wikipedia, which is a surprisingly hard thing to achieve.
Wait, was it Missouri
by the way,
was it Texas
By
State?
the way, well, so there were multiple issues.
What did you?
Okay,
go ahead. Sorry.
Dorial Green Beckham, the OU receiver that everyone knows, was a wash in the NFL, but he never once played football at Missouri. He only ever played in college at OU. But
Ty,
all that being said,
why are you just saying
there's some other
everyone knows?
There's some other analysis, but really this one's personal. Actually, there's no other analysis. I just said that. Kansas State has a better coach, but this one's personal. I guess I'm going with I'm protecting the shield here. Give me K-State versus a team that just should not be in the SEC. Even Vanderbilt, you can make the excuse because they have a cool location and they're academically solid. Missouri has nothing. They should be in the Big Ten. They're just like little Iowa, but lower. They have the arch. That's cool. Has nothing to do with the university. That's literally the only redeeming factor. So give me K-State here.
Hey Blake, should we even let Bobby talk here so he can stop talking about K-State for a little bit?
I know. I'm waiting for it. What romance novel do you have for us now, Bobby?
Well, I for one think I've written a haiku about Chris Kleiman, so maybe I should just take it to a whole separate show on the Schooner Pod where I just
50 Shades of
sing
Purple.
my praises. 50 Shades of Silvery Gray. I don't know. No, I've been hyping up K-State like this entire offseason, really just forever, as well as Chris Kleiman. I think K-State really does take a leap here, and I think it starts with the win over Missouri. And look, I don't think there's a ton to say. I've already said a lot about him. I think Deuce Vaughn's very good. I think Adrian Martinez is going to be fine. Maybe not as good as some people think, but I really just I feel like K-State is good enough, well coached enough to take out Missouri at home and gets this win here. So give me the Wildcats to take them out.
Yeah, I agree. K-State. Here's the thing. Let's talk about Adrian Martinez for a little bit. He threw for 53 yards versus South Dakota Coyotes. Is that concerning? A little bit, but they're playing Missouri, and I don't believe in Missouri at all. This has just been a perennial team that just gets beat down and it's kind of the laughingstock of SEC that isn't talked about enough. Everyone talks about Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt kind of is looking sneaky, pretty decent this season. They might not win. I told y'all
to get on the over 2.5 wins. 2.5 wins is looking great.
They went and duked it out against Elon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wake Forest. I'm really excited to watch that game, especially with Hartman playing back. But I just don't believe in Missouri at all. Give me Kansas State here.
Fair enough. Blake, who do you got?
I had no pick going into this podcast because this game I'm so indecisive on. But honestly, screw Bobby. Give me the Mizzou Tigers.
Yes.
Screw that man's love for this dang team. If Adrian Martinez having the lowest QBR in the Big 12 this weekend doesn't decide it for you that Kansas State is not the legit team that people are talking about, then get it out of here. Mizzou, honestly, good with the run. I know it's against Louisiana Tech. Sonny Cumbie, Matthew Downing, 2 TCU guys, but great against the run. Honestly, their offense was clicking. This number started out pretty inflated. Like, when I had it on my sheet, I think it was at 9. Yep, 9. Oh, even, no, 9.5, and it's already come down to 7.5. You know the whales are hitting Mizzou. They know that Kansas State is not as good as we think. We know that Chris Kleiman is a worse coach than Dave Aranda, which Bobby somehow believes those are on the same pedestal as he said last year. I'm not buying into this propaganda. I'm not buying into this BS. Give me the Mizzou Tigers plus 7.5. This is going to be bad, but I don't care. We got to draw a line in the sand right now. Kansas State is not that good.
For the record, Adrian Martinez only threw 15 times. He went 11 for 15 on those 53 yards. So it's not like they were trying
11 completions for 53
yards is so bad. That's even worse. You'd rather him be inaccurate taking bombs instead of doing dump passes and getting 3 yards per attempt. I think it was very clear that they're saving their play. It's very clear they're saving their playbook for their hostile takeover of the Big 12.
I will say this, Blake, last time we followed the Whales, things ended up very poorly. Let me remind you about that.
The Whales led us astray. They let us out to sea in a nice stormy riptide that ripped our ship down and ripped us apart.
And I knew that storm was coming, and I went right back into the waves.
Incredible.
I will say I've said my piece on Dave Aranda, but I guess now it has kind of been proven after this week 1 that maybe Coach O was really good and maybe Dave Aranda was just riding his coattails. So you never know.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to what some people think is the game of the week.
Yes.
The Alabama Crimson Tide heading down to Austin in a future SEC showdown Tide favored by 20 and a number that is just continuing to balloon by the hour. And I don't know. We caught it at 20, so I feel like we're doing ourselves a favor, perhaps. Blake, I'll let you kick this one off. Who do you like?
I won't take long on this pick, but I think this is called a business pick. This is called the casinos covering their asses because they know everybody and their mother is going to slam Alabama. Give me the horns. The number is too high. They put the number too high because they knew idiots would slam Alabama just for beating Alabama. I am taking the horns. I think this is a touchdown too high. Honestly, I think it's a little bit disgraceful. It's disgraceful that you would think that in a good home atmosphere like Austin, Texas, that they could set the number at 20 with backdoor potential. I disagree. They're just trying to cover their butts whenever they lose, like when all the bets come in on Alabama. So, give me the horns this weekend.
Wow. Okay. Damn. Jameson, who do you have?
You know, I thought about it. I really did. I thought about Texas.
No way.
But I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Take them outright. Take them outright.
Oh,
if you take Texas outright, we'll give you 4 wins worth for your record. Do it.
Oh my God. I'm still going back and forth on it right now. I picked Texas in my Big 12 championship. I'm flat out saying that. But it's just this game, just give me Texas.
No way. Really?
Yes, really.
Y'all are making it,
there we go.
I got to
The number's too big, Bobby. The number's too big.
This number's not too big. This number's not too big at all. I think Alabama rolls into Austin and clobbers Texas. I think this is a situation where y'all are just overthinking this one. And I get it. It's dangerous. It's a home environment. But it's Texas. And I just don't see it. I think Alabama is too big, too physical, too good. They're on a different plane entirely from, hell, even like OU, even like most teams in the country. And I personally think that, let's be honest, Texas is a like home environment. Ain't that special? They got a lot of people. They got a big stadium, but it's not what Alabama's used to running into. It's a wine and cheese crowd that's going to get, tired the first second that Alabama really sets this thing off. They get up 14 points. That crowd is done for. I think Will Anderson's too damn good on defense. I think Bryce Young and that Alabama offense are too sharp. And everyone, we keep forgetting Saban doesn't really usually lose to his assistants. And not to use a phrase that Ty has already used in the podcast already, but I'm going to do it anyway. Sark ain't that guy. Saban's going to be more than fine here. I think they roll into town, beat Texas, show them welcome to the SEC. That's what you get for putting our band or trying to put our band in a tiny little spot in the upper deck. Screw y'all. I think
they overreacted like no other to that. I'm like, that's what they've been doing for years. And then Alabama has to get all high and mighty, like, oh, our band's better. No, your band's just a normal band.
So like, to be fair, Texas's band location is BS. Same with TCU's, in fact. I'll say that as well. TCU puts people up in the shelf, and I don't like that. I feel like the band should be at a reasonable spot as well as the visitors. I think that's totally fine. I have no problem with that. I think hospitality is important. Could be mean to everyone else, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyways,
that's why you never buy visitors tickets, folks.
I bought visitor tickets many years, and it's always great. Except for Texas Tech.
I was the first person in line for the OU-TCU tickets the year after our chance that we almost made the college football playoff, and being the first person meant I was right behind the tubas at OSU Stadium. Don't buy it. Just go in the aftermarket, get some good tickets where you want to set up, because you usually get put in BS locations, and they'll put the band in front of you, and it sucks. It sucks.
OSU, okay, yeah, no, they do put you in front of they did put you in front of the tubas. That is a thing they'll do. So, that's whatever. That's probably, they're just going by whatever. But yeah, no, I'm going with Alabama here. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, I got confused for a second. You guys were literally arguing about bands. I thought the graphic was wrong and we were talking about Big Ten teams. I will say, to OSU's credit, I sat directly in front of the band one year and it was amazing. Shout out to what year was that? 2020, I guess. Our band director at the time, our friend of Bobby and I's that we sat with, we were like picking the song. Like he let us pick a few songs. Like, hey, can you guys play this? And all
did y'all play Boomer Sooner? Did you just pick that? Like what are your play Boomer Sooner?
It was a really good time. It was loud, but interact with. If you're right, like we were right in front of the band to the point where like the band director was sitting on our island, standing up and facing. If you're in that situation, interact with them. It's really cool. But yeah, you guys brought up a good point with, does UT have a home advantage here? I know some people are talking about it in the comments, but here's the thing to remember. UT is in Austin. And what do we know about people that live in Austin? Well, everything you need to know about people that live in Austin, you saw last week when you watched UCLA play at home with no one in the stands. Much like Los Angeles, everyone in Austin is from Los Angeles. So they're not going to want to come to the games because California fans don't like to go to the games in person for whatever reason, if they even exist. So I don't even know if there's even going to be anyone in the stadium because no one from California goes to football games. So I don't expect any team in Austin to have any sort of home field advantage. What else did I have? All of that. Oh, one more quick note. Just to clear up confusion, I said if Jameson picked Texas outright, which means just to straight up win, we give him 4 wins. He's not getting 4 wins for
cover.
For Texas to cover.
No,
on a 20-point line. But give me the Tide. I made this sign. It stands for Roll My Fabulous Tide because we're an advertiser-friendly podcast. Shout out to DraftKings and Raycon earbuds. But yeah, give me the Tide. The Tide would just absolutely embarrass the random team that they played the other day, but they let off the gas and still won. They covered by like 50 something. Texas, their beloved quarterback that's supposed to be the greatest quarterback to ever play in the state of Texas since Johnny Manziel at the college level, went out there, threw an incompletion and then a pick to start his college tenure at Texas, and then finished with 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He's not like, if this turns out into a quarterback battle, I think that Bama has the quarterback battle advantage by 28. So give me the Tide here to take this one. I think they take it easy. I think they take the cover easily. I don't think they take it easy on Texas because there's no motivation to get off the gas. I mean, if they're truly up, they'll put some other people in the fourth quarter. But, when you're talking about a big marquee, the biggest matchup of the season so far, big brand on big brand, big recruiting battle on big recruiting battle, Alabama has every reason to get this to 35 to 42 in terms of the point differential. Can they do that? I don't know. But I think that they could pretty comfortably, even if Texas pulls out all the stops, I think Bama can pretty comfortably get it to a 21 point differential. So if we're picking 20, give me the Tide.
There you go. You have it. It's a split decision. Let's move on to our next game, the game that everybody wants to watch. It's the Kent State Golden Flashes traveling to Norman to take on the Oklahoma Sooners in their tour around America, collecting bags every stop. They went to Washington, played pretty good. Now they're in Norman. They're spending the week in Tulsa for some reason. Next, in a couple weeks, they're going to go to Georgia, collect a bag there. But can they collect a cover? This one is on ESPN Plus, everyone's favorite streaming platform, #1 rated by the Schooner Pod. And after this one, you can check out the 1995 OU basketball team playing OSU. It's great. They have cool shorts. Big endorse that. Ty, what do you think about this one? Do you think 23.5 is a little too big here? Do you think that line's too tough? What do you think?
I would love 23.
I don't think 23.5 is too big.
32.5. I'm dyslexic.
But I also think I wasn't even. But yeah, I like 32.5 as well. I think it's pretty reasonable. OU, I think a lot of people were disappointed in our performance. We did cover last week, but a lot of people, UTSA was a team coming into OU, or UTAP was a team coming into OU. That was not trying to be a bit. I just generally get those teams confused. whoever we played. We did have that experience with watching them play North Texas and a disappointing performance there, and maybe some different expectations for coming in. But it was still OU's first game. We saw what we could do. We have a whole podcast discussing and digesting that one. So I'll keep it short. OU, give me the LED lights. Give me, if depending on the side of the stadium you're on, you're going to have decent weather thanks to shade for the first half, and then everyone will have decent weather in the second half. Obviously, it's sort of our pay-per-view, but that's a little better. But yeah, I think OU has it in us in a home field advantage, and I think it's going to be maybe even a better atmosphere than last week. I wasn't there last week, but I'll be there for this one. So I hope it's a good atmosphere. I know it will be, but I think we have it in us. Really, it's a matter of do we have the heart and sort of the will to stay on the gas? Because like I said in our last pod, I think maybe we took off the gas and didn't have a whole lot of motivation to stay on it in the last one once we were up. So we'll see. Brent Venables as a head coach, every head coach sort of has their threshold for how willing they are to stay on the gas, especially against a team like this. A lot of coaches feel weird about keeping the gas on when you're up by 4 touchdowns. So we'll see, but I like OU.
I'm going to Zach here. I like Kent State to cover this. I'm not kidding. I think they have a bit of a high tempo offense. I think
Bobby just wants that. Bobby, if you just want to do a 9-9-9, you can. You don't have to throw the season.
I'm telling you, I think Kent State covers it. 32 and a half is a lot of points. What's so funny, Blake? What's so funny, Blake? Unmute, Blake. What did I do? What's funny?
What is this?
I think Kent State covers 32 and a half. I think the offense moves enough.
What is this?
I don't even know what he's saying.
I think they backdoor. I think they backdoor on this.
Backdoor what when they're up by OU's up by 70-0? What?
No, I think they find a way, man. I'm telling you. I think OU trips up. Sometimes college football makes no sense. OU sometimes struggles with these massive lines, and I think Kent State finds a way to cover. They didn't roll over against Washington, I guess. I have a weird feeling that Kent State's going to cover. I've seen it happen. I lost a lot on picking OU in massive lines last year. This feels like a weird one. OU barely covered UTEP. I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about Kent State here. And cold take alert me to hell here. I just have a weird feeling. I don't know. I think it's going to be closer than 32 and a half, which shouldn't be too wild. It just seems a little bit much. I think Kent State finds a way. Blake is dying over here.
Blake, I will give you the option to make your pick right now because I need to hear it now.
Any team that makes Michael Penix Jr. have the best QB rating rolling out of the pocket with accuracy does not deserve to ever be picked. You're telling me that Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies covered against this Kent State team last year, and somehow a better OU team, more disciplined OU team is gonna somehow not cover this spread. This is ridiculous. This Kent State team plays fast, which means they play fast to then turn over the ball because they cannot move it against these FBS programs. They cannot move it against the Power 5 teams. They're saving their entire playbook for when the MAC schedule starts while they just collect the bag in the non-conference. They play a vanilla offense. They made Michael Penix Jr., remember that, look good. There is no way Dylan Gabriel and company does not cover the spread. I am so confident about this pick. This might be one of my picks of the week. Oh my god, there's no way you could pay me enough money to sweat out Kent State plus 32 and a half. There is no way. This is a horrendously bad pick by Bobby. I know some of the bigger spreads.
7, Blake.
This is bad, dude. I sent you the stats last week. Michael Penix Jr. led the league in something besides interceptions and injuries. What? And you're backing this team. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. I want OU minus 32 and a half. Bobby, bad pick, automatic loss.
We'll see. Jameson, what do you got?
I think you must have forgotten that Dustin Hram is no longer there as Kent State's quarterback. That is a major deciding factor of why I'm slamming Oklahoma here. I think Dylan Gabriel's pissed about how he played last week. And he played really well. But I think he's pissed. He was inaccurate. And people like me, and there's a lot of other people, are talking about, is he a type of guy that I can believe in deep field passing? And does he have the accuracy of past Oklahoma quarterbacks? And knowing his personality, he's got a chip on his shoulder. And he's going to take it out on the poor Kent State team. And I think we run up the score here, win by 40 plus. Bad pick, Bobby, at it again.
We'll see.
That was bad, Bobby. It's
not over yet. It hasn't even the game hasn't even started yet.
Why even start it?
It's 32.5. It's not that much. We'll see how it goes. But let's move on to our favorite
Kent
pick
State
of the week.
Probably has to score. You know that, right?
Okay, well, here we go. Let's go ahead and get the wild card on.
Why aren't the brakes working?
Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches!
All right, so I know Jameson just went, but keeping with the loop, Blake, you start us off with your first wild card.
Honestly, so many tasty wild card picks that could possibly happen. I definitely looked at Arizona, Mississippi State. Arizona, bless them, beat those poor school down in San Diego State. That's not even a state, but beat them down as a 6.5 point dogs. Give it to them. Round of applause. Put them away, but we're not going to choose them. Neither are we going to choose some Fresno State, Oregon State. That's a tasty one too. I love me some Mountain West. You know I do. I love me some Fresno State, some Jake Haener, but I'm going somewhere different in the Mountain West. And no, I'm not going back to Boco this week. Plus 11. The UNLV running Rebs are going to cover against the Cal Golden Bears. Cal Golden Bears is the least electric team in the nation. They suck. They, honestly, I watched them last year. They came to TCU. Can't move the ball worth crap. Defense is good. But man, oh man, let me tell you about one thing. Or I guess it's two things in this instance. It's that Doug Brumfeld-Ricky White combination. Ricky White, a Michigan State transfer who was burning the Big Ten, is now in the Mountain West. And Doug Brumfeld, my savior of UNLV, over, 2.5 wins last year. The man's an electric quarterback. Ricky White, electric wide receiver, averaged over 20 yards per catch versus Idaho State. There's only one team covering here. It's the UNLV running Rebs. Give me that plus 11.
Okay, wow. There you go. The Rebs plus 11 against Cal. Jameson, what do you got?
I would just like to talk about that Texas State is a 14-point favorite going into this week after what they just showed versus Nevada.
That's tasty.
Just because I'm thinking about it, but I'm just going to let this go to the wayside because I'm looking out for Texas State's football program right now. When I pick them, bad things go on. They need this win. They don't need anything crazy to happen versus Florida International. Florida International had to go for 2 in overtime versus Bryant FCS team to win their game. I feel good in Texas State, but I'm going to stay away for their sake. Let it simmer for a little bit, and we'll visit them later. I've just got to talk up for a matchup that I felt like it was extremely disrespected by Bobby when he made the slate. How dare he not put a Big 12 matchup, West Virginia and Kansas? How dare he? West Virginia minus 13.5.
We pick every Big 12 game. That's what he said at the start of the season.
Isn't it the first Big 12?
Our slate has always been that we pick every Big 12 game. He left Texas off last week. I had to wild card the nation's Texas Longhorns to get them on the slate. And
we've been going for an hour and 13 minutes on 10 picks. I can't fit every Big 12 game in, or else we'll be going.
We shouldn't do 2 non-conference then.
You shouldn't do dumb things like picking Kent State. That caused a lot of time delay. We could have gone easily around the horn. OU, better team. But we're still here.
Fair enough. All right, let's just keep going with it. Jameson,
West Virginia minus 13.5 points versus Kansas. I think people are looking like, oh, look, Kansas, they got a pretty good team this year. They went out versus whoever it was, Tennessee Tech or somebody, I can't even remember, and put up some points. And everyone's like, oh, Daniel's the quarterback. He's changed it. He's changed for this Kansas team. Same old Kansas. I don't want to hear this. Lance Leipold is like the 6th best coach in the Big 12, whoever made that bum poll. Put
Gambling Gauchos.
Yeah, and put Venables at 8 or something. I don't know if that's the exact ranking. It was just stupid. Give me West Virginia at home. West Virginia at home as a 13.5 point favorite versus Kansas. Come on now.
I really like that pick.
I don't know. What about the Bean Man, though?
The Bean Man
You're
isn't
his
playing
ultimate
anymore.
fan.
My allegiance to Kansas is gone. They've abandoned him, and I'm abandoning Kansas.
They've abandoned the Bean. That's sad.
Sad
But we
Bean.
haven't.
Sad Bean.
Why did you have that pulled up ready to go?
That
New
looks like
sticker.
So sad.
Sticker.
that looks like a kidney that died of alcohol poisoning.
Sad Bean.
There's
Oh,
a sad
look.
Why
That's
do you
a
have
kind-
this?
That looked like a
no.
bean that used to be happy.
Oh my god.
Oh,
All
no.
right.
Sad Bean. The sad
These are
Bean
all
pick.
kidneys.
That's
are
a
definitely all
scoliosis.
kidneys.
Those are all kidneys.
This is emo bean, but
Okay,
still
that's a
sad
kidney.
bean nonetheless.
What kind of bean is that even supposed to? That's a kidney.
There are things
Wait.
called kidney beans, Ty. They exist.
Acknowledge kidney beans. Okay, let's move on.
This is what I'm going to clip for our Twitter advertisement for the weekend spread for this week.
I love it. Let's just confuse the hell out of them. I love it. All right, here's my pick. So I've been bouncing around a couple, but the one I like the most, I like Arkansas minus 8.5 against South Carolina. Look, Arkansas went out, beat a very, very solid team in Cincinnati last week. And then, you look at South Carolina, you're like, oh, they put up some numbers, offensive, whatever. They put up 35 points on, Georgia Southern. Not a bad, group of 5 team. But if you really look at it, what caused them to really take that leap in that third quarter into the fourth quarter? They had 2 punt blocks for touchdowns. So for me, I feel like the South Carolina line was overinflated, or looked like the result was overinflated. And then you look at the Arkansas result, and you had a later Cincinnati touchdown that came in. So for me, I feel like Arkansas can be a little bit better. Give them 2 more points on this. I like the Hogs to win at home. So give me Arkansas here to get the dub and cover 8.5 against South Carolina. That's my pick.
So here's the thing. It was a tremendous advantage to the rest of the slate that I picked last this week, because I knew that I was picking last, but if I thought about this beforehand, and I knew that if I picked first, if I went first, I would have to, because I can afford to do this because I'm in the lead right now in the standings, go with Texas State, because I knew that if I went before Jameson and Blake and gave an impassioned speech about our Texas State Boko the Bobcats and pick them, that they would be forced to, and I would lead them all into a loss, and I could afford to take that loss, and they would, but I did not.
And just
so
bolster Bobby's standing.
And
Don't
what
you
I'm
want to see
saying,
Bobby eating
what
the
I'm
hot dogs?
saying is, well, no, Bobby's trying to eat the hot dogs. I think you'd have to fight Bobby not to eat the hot dogs based on his picks. But yeah, so I'm a villain in the podcast. I like being the villain. Here's the thing: I'm not a big enough villain to pick against my Navy midshipmen who lost last week to Delaware, which I don't even think is D1, which is ridiculously embarrassing. Also, they're getting paid, like not just NIL, they're just straight up salaried players thanks to your tax money. So call your senators about why Navy football isn't better, because Air Force and Army are doing great. But I am a villain in the podcast sphere. Sometimes it's fun to be the villain. Sometimes it's fun to root for the villain. You watch Secession, you like Logan Roy. You can't not like Logan. You watch Westworld, you like William.
Really?
You watch.
Do you?
You don't think William is a good character? He's not, at least an intro. I'm not rooting for him.
Please tell
Depends
me.
on
You
the
don't
season.
like Logan Roy? So if Logan Roy was just not in Secession, you'd still watch it? If it was just a bunch of
Not really
entitled
rooting
kids?
for him though.
I didn't say I was rooting for them. I said you like watching them. It's different. It's entertainment.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. What is Star Wars without Darth Vader? That's a better way of saying. And I'm not rooting for them, but I've never seen the Avengers, but I know that there's the purple Dwayne Johnson character that's the villain. Probably wouldn't be as interesting without him. It's not that interesting at all. I know because I haven't seen it. Top Gun wouldn't be interesting if it weren't for constant camera shots trying to accommodate for the fact that Tom Cruise is 5'2". Okay, that was the villain in that movie. But so I wanted to go with a villain pick. And at first I thought, because I believe in them now, I believe in them in a sick way. I believe in Texas A&M. I believe in their 18.5-point line against Appalachian State. And I said, what a better villain pick for the podcast than to go against everyone's beloved Yusuf, to twist the knife for no reason. I don't even care about Yusuf and Appalachian State, and I don't really care that much for Texas A&M. I think I'm generally negative to Texas A&M. I think their coach has a funny name. And I think Johnny Manziel is one of the greatest college football players to ever do it. But I didn't like doing that because the only reason I didn't do it is because there's an even bigger villain. There is an even bigger villain with an even juicier layup of a line. That's right. Give me the 2021 Oklahoma Sooners. I'm talking about USC. Give me USC. I'll be a Trojan fan for the weekend just to be the villain. Because what's a good show without a villain? Give me USC. Shout out to our buddy Ford. I know he doesn't listen. But give me the USC Trojans minus 8.5. As of right now on DraftKings, we do lock in the rest of the lines beforehand. These ones are locked in a little bit later in the day, so sometimes they shift from when we locked on the big ones. I'm looking at DraftKings right now. You guys can verify it's at 8.5.
It
I think
it was at 8
shift
earlier today, though.
Give me the Trojans.
All right, there you go. Say goodnight to the bad guy there. I like it.
Yeah, you probably saved yourself watching that Texas A&M game. Appalachian State's so overrated. Everyone knew that North Carolina was going to win that one.
Ooh. You never saw this coming. I summoned Pot of Greed.
Whoa. Time out.
Forced me to do it.
No, I'm calling a timeout. I'm calling a timeout. I need someone to review this. I thought the standing rule, because I did not, for the listeners and for the viewers, I did not summon my Pot of Greed. And
Please let him do this.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, yeah, I'll let him do
it. You're allowed to do
vengeful.
You're allowed to do vengeful Pot of Greed.
I was gonna say I don't think he's allowed to do it, but I completely forgot it's Bobby. He's gonna shoot himself in the foot.
You summoned the pot.
I'm summoning Pot of Greed out of principle. Sometimes a man has to stand up for what he believes in. And I believe in Yosef. I don't care if I'm digging myself a hole. I summon Pot of Greed to vouch for Yosef and pivot and pick Wake Forest minus 13.5 against Vanderbilt.
Gross. Oh, what? Yeah, come on.
Boo.
Oh, my God.
Is he a villain? There you go. That's a villain move right there.
Vanderbilt's
Sam Hartman back. I think Vanderbilt's overrated. They beat a bad Hawaii
The dude
team.
just had a tumor in his arm.
He'll find a way. He'll shake it off.
Not a tumor, excuse me, a blood clot. Oh my God, Vandy. I just said tumor online. Okay,
even the doctors are failing us these days. What does society have to hope in?
Do your own research.
I actually just did a lot of research on that injury. Oh my God. Okay, just carry on. Go ahead.
Even the doctors aren't doing enough research, people. Do your own.
I think Wake's a solid team, and with Sam Hartman there, I think they're going to be boosted a little bit. So if he plays, I think that'll be a boost. I think Vanderbilt's still a little bit overhyped here. So give me Wake. I know, a little bit of a letdown there. Not going with
they already boosted like a significant amount.
I still think you're going to lose it, but I still feel like I should challenge because that wasn't a retaliation or a vengeful Pot of Greed. That was clearly
That was just a weird dramatic.
It was a premeditated Pot of Greed that was not used when he had possession.
Do you want me to throw it
guys,
away?
let him do it. No,
we'll let him do it. We'll let you do it.
Let the man do it.
Yeah, but I feel like it's anticlimactic now. I feel like
I just want it on the record. No, I just want it. You're locked in.
Because you hit us with
it. You're locked in.
You zigzagged us.
Yeah,
zigzagged.
But it wasn't good.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
that was the
convincing.
least.
It was
Bobby,
like,
you would.
No one had any idea what was going on, but it wasn't a good storyline.
You would be the worst WWE wrestler. Like, you were supposed to cut a promo right there, and you just did some, like, stuff that left the fans wondering, like, oh, like, what?
It's like it's just like some really bad, like, subversive stuff. But I actually really do like that one. I was thinking about using Pot of Greed on Wake, but I had a couple Pot of Greed candidates.
You
did use it on Wake.
Did. No.
No, I was thinking about it before. I was thinking about it before the show. I was thinking about that before the show, and it doesn't matter. It's all over.
So no, we've established the precedent, right? That as long as the podcast is still going, the Pot of Greed is in play during the what? As long as okay, all right.
As
so
long
we
as
established the precedent. There's nothing
just
up for discussion now. Yeah,
it's 10 billion times more entertaining if you do it in vengeful manner, which Bobby was implying, but
or
then Zigzag it just did like a random pick that we didn't talk about. But
okay, whatever. This one's ruined. Let's send it back. Send it back. Whatever, but not really because it's on there. So Pot of Greed, it's all good. Well, this is a bummer. I'm sorry for ruining everything, but anyways. Let's just wrap this one. All right. For me, Jameson, Ty, and Bowden Blake, this has been the Weekend Spread. We'd like to say thanks to our partners at TPPN and DraftKings Sportsbook, as well as Raycon. Make sure to shout those out. See what's up in the show notes as well. So, all right. Well, that's been our show this week. We'll see you in a couple days when we break down OU and Kent State. Till then, I've been your host, Bobby Howard. Have a good weekend, everyone, and good luck out there. I know I'm probably going to need it.